Good morning, everyone. I am Rayami Sidisabaya, and today I will be discussing about sustaining change. For reforms to transform, the innovations introduced by the transformational leader must be institutional and sustained, or else that innovation is simply a passing fad that loses its flavor after a time. A proof that an innovation introduced has transformed the organization is that the result of effect of that change persists or ripples even when the transformative leader is gone or is transferred to another school or gets promoted in the organization. In this slide, sustaining change is one of the greatest challenges in any organization, especially in educational institutions where traditions and long-standing practices often shape the culture. The passage underscores a vital truth. For any reform to truly transform, it must outlast the leader who introduced it. A change that only exists while the transformational leader is present is merely temporary. Lasting change becomes embedded in the system, its process, and the culture. We feel most comfortable with our old pair or shoes. We like to live in our comfort zones, and so sometimes we don't welcome change. And yet, if we want improvement in the way we do things in our organization, in our school, or if we want to improve the life, we must be willing to change. The transformational leader ought to deal with resistance to change to succeed. There will always be resistors to change. Change, however, is uncomfortable. Like an old pair of shoes, familiar routines feel safe. That's why resistance to change is natural. But as the passage says, if we want to improve, we must be willing to change. This is where the role of transformational leader becomes crucial, not just to introduce change, but to sustain it. To ensure that the innovation he or she introduces leads to the transformational of organizations, Morato of Bayan ABS-CBN in year 2011 gives the following advice. First, seek the support of the stakeholders. The leaders must build a strong coalition of allies in order to push for any meaningful change that would yield results. Innovation cannot be forced upon the teachers, the students, the parents, and the community without serious consequences. Second is get people involved early and often. Resistance drop off in proportion to the involvement of participants. You may not expect the 100% support from any individual who was not personally involved in a change that affected his or her work. It is best to set up networks to reach out to many people as possible. The strategies offered by Morato are practical and insightful. First, seek the support of stakeholders. Change isn't effective when imposed. It has to be collaborative. Stakeholders, such as teachers, students, parents, the community are more likely to support reforms if they are part of the journey, not just recipients of decisions. The second is get people involved early and often. The earlier people are involved, the more invested they become. Engagement breeds ownership, and ownership leads to sustainability. Third is plan a communications campaign to sell the innovation. Morata in 2011 asserts the change in vision must cascade downwards to the lesson plan and ripple sidewards to win the support of major stakeholders. Fourth, ensure the innovation is understood by all. The benefits and costs must be appreciated and weighed carefully. Fifth, consider timing and phasing. These are highly critical. Missteps might backfire and lack of sensitivity of stakeholders might lead to resistance. Third is plan a communications campaign. Change needs to be understood and it needs to inspire. Communicating the vision clearly, repeatedly, and passionately helps others to see the value and commit to the direction. Fourth, ensure understanding of the innovation. People resist what they don't understand. When individuals see the tangible benefits and potential challenges of an innovation, they can engage with it realistically. Lastly, consider timing and phasing. Even best idea can fail if introduced at the wrong time. Sensitivity to the context and careful pacing can make a big mistake or difference in how change is received and maintained. In essence, sustaining change is not just about great ideas. It's about people, relationships, and timing. Leaders who recognize this and work strategically and empathetically are more like to plant seeds of change that grow longer after they are gone.